Like, I just need somebody to love. You are. Yeah, man.
Nothing else sounds as good as
WEFM, the clean, fresh sound.
Activated mornings on EFM 99.9 is on now.
Welcome back to Vincent and the Grenadines. As promised, we have our part two to our interview we had with Odelia Thomas last week. The time is 9:23, soon to be 9:24. And good morning to you, Odelia.
Good morning, Ari. Good morning, Relisa.
Morning.
How are you?
Morning. I am good, thanks. How are you guys doing today?
Not bad.
It's a nice sunny day. The sun is out. We're seeing a lot of them towboats passing here at Lower Kittles. It's fishermen out fishing. It's a good day. It's a good
Like
day.
you're going
Very
beach.
nice.
Stuff.
He should
All
take
right.
us with him.
Let's see if we're invited.
You guys have beach plans? But tell us, last time we were here talking about endometriosis and endometriosis. Thank you very much.
Yes.
If you could summarize what you were telling us last time, you were basically sharing your journey. If you could summarize that and continue, because a lot of persons were very interested in what you had to say.
Okay, so last week we talked about what endometriosis, adenomyosis, PCOS, and fibroids were. And then I started my story. A summary of that is in 2017, in my early 20s, I was diagnosed with fibroids. And then in 2017, I was diagnosed with endometriosis. And in 2021, I was diagnosed with PCOS and adenomyosis. And my diagnosis with endometriosis came 21 years after the symptoms started. So I had talked a bit about what symptoms I was experiencing, the pain, the nausea, the vomiting, the diarrhea, the constipation, and so on. And then I had gotten to the point of 2022 when I had my second major surgery due to these conditions. So that's where we left off last week.
Mm-hmm.
You left us on a point where we're like, so we couldn't speak. We couldn't speak.
We need
Ari
to
was speechless.
story.
Yes. All right. So you could probably continue from there.
Okay. So in 2022, my symptoms had gotten worse. I had done the MRI and seen that the adenomyosis was spread throughout my uterus, and there was a possibility that I had endometriosis on my bowels as well. So in October 2022, I had surgery. I had a subtotal hysterectomy, meaning everything came out except my cervix. So I am in menopause, surgically induced menopause, as a young woman. And that journey has been interesting. Going into menopause as a young lady and as somebody who is not able to use hormone therapy. So finding the right combination of supplements and natural remedies has been a journey. I am at a place where I am okay. The hot flashes are not fun. Night sweats, no
All right,
fun.
seriously, it's all of that in truth. Listen, I only thought of one thing and I forgot about
No,
it.
it's a whole host of things. I already had thin hair to begin with, so I've been losing hair. The night sweats, the hot flashes. It's hard to fall asleep at night. Dry skin. That is not fun either. And some other things have come along with it, but with the combination of supplements, things have gotten better and I've learned how to manage. So wear lots of natural fabrics, take my supplements and my other medications, and I'm managing. But it has been a journey to get here, because this is the first time I'm publicly saying a year and a half later that I had a hysterectomy as a young lady. And I remember one time I was in a meeting and we are in an air-conditioned building and, hot flashes don't care where you are. So I had one and my shirt was drenched. And the lady next to me goes, but you're acting like me, because she's an older lady. You're acting like me, like you're having a hot flash. So I said, yes, I am. And she goes, no, you're not. And I said, yes, I am. And she's telling me, no, you're not. You're too young for that. And I said, you don't ever know what somebody's journey is. So you can never judge what it is they're experiencing. And I think she learned a lesson that day. But I say that to say you never know what somebody's going through. They may look quite fine when you see them, smiling, laughing, happy, but you do not know what people are struggling with. And I think that was a big takeaway message for me from that. If you look at me, you will never know how much pain I'm in or what my other symptoms are, or that I am in menopause. I am a young woman. I seem to be fine, but you don't know.
But Odelia, I will admit, because remember we went to UE together, and you haven't disclosed this in this interview. I was not aware of all of this that was happening with you at the time.
Yeah.
So is there a period? You said it's medically induced. Is there a period where it ends? Or surgically?
No, it's not going to come back because my uterus is gone, my ovaries are gone. I lost one in 2017 and I lost the other one in 2022. So when people hear of menopause, they just think, oh, somebody who naturally goes into it. There's medically induced, you might be on some kind of medication that might cause you to go into menopause. You might be in chemotherapy, radiation, or some other type of medication that can cause that. Or you can have surgery like me, so surgically induced. There is early onset menopause. I have friends who went into menopause in their 20s and 30s, just naturally. And then you have, of course, the natural menopause. As you age, you go into menopause. So it can come on from various factors, but not a lot of people are educated about that. They think that there's only one way you go into menopause, but there's several ways that you can go into it.
All right, so educate me here. All right, so given that yours is medically induced, I'm not sure if Ari was trying to ask, surgically, sorry. Like, what is the time span? When is it going to end? Have they given an indication as to within the next 3 years you're going to be rid of the symptoms that you're experiencing now?
No, there is no time frame because everybody's body is different. So some it's like a year, just a few months. Some don't ever experience the hot flashes or anything. And then for some, it's years. So I'm going into year 2 and the intensity has diminished for sure. But I still do get certain symptoms that I'm experiencing. So we have no idea how long it's going to last.
Wow. So the medical professionals didn't even give an approximation?
Some would say up to 3 years, some would say up to 5 years. But because your body is unique and you may have other challenges, they just can't say for sure, okay, by the end of 2024, everything is going to stop and you'll be fine. They just can't say for sure, definitively, this is what is going to happen.
All right. Someone on the live is asking if you can explain menopause.
Okay, that is not a problem. So menopause, when we think of menopause, it's something that happens when a woman her estrogen and progesterone levels start going down and it marks the end of your menstrual cycle. So you will no longer get your period. It is a natural process that all women will have to go through as they get older. It can usually start in your 40s and 50s, and that's natural menopause. So you're no longer able to get pregnant, you no longer have a period, and with that hormonal change comes symptoms. So the hot flashes, the mood swings, because of it causes emotional symptoms as well. Sleep disruption, lowered energy, the hot flashes, as I said, the night sweats, dry skin. Some women may have a lowered libido, like you no longer want to have sex, or you may have vaginal dryness. So it's painful to have sex and you might have to introduce lubricants. So did I miss anything? Weight gain. Weight gain and a slowing of your metabolism is a big one. Some people will lose hair like me, loss of hair, thinning hair. Some women might lose the fullness of their breast, so it's not as full and perky as it used to be. All of that can happen with menopause.
Okay. So if someone has a question and they're saying they hope it's not too much of a personal question.
They
They
can
said
ask.
that they know that you mentioned sometime along the line last week. Were you or do you were you or do you or would you like to adopt children? I know you cannot, but would you love to adopt? I'm guessing cannot have. But would you
Right.
love to adopt?
At this point in my life, no, I have had the privilege of raising one of my godchildren since she was 3 months old. So, and she's 13 at this time, and she still lives with me. So, I have had that privilege, that honor of being a mother figure, going through being up at night, potty training. So, I've had the experience, and I count myself blessed to have had that experience. And she's a little jealous child. When she was younger, she would have wanted me to have another one. Like she'd always be like, "But Auntie Eddie, there are other babies that would love to have you as their mommy. You should take another baby." But now she doesn't want to share me. And as I get older and I'm thinking of doing this process all over again, I'm not sure that I want to be up at night at this point in my life and potty training again. But I'm very thankful that I had the privilege and honor of being a mommy figure. And I do mentor young girls as well. So for me, that is very fulfilling.
Okay. All right. So I do have a question for you, Odelia. So the essence of what makes us women, right? Many persons seem to think it's about bringing a child into this world, right?
Yes.
And I'm happy that the person asked you the question in relation to being to adopting, because you don't necessarily need to have a biological child in order for
Yes.
you to be a mother, right?
Yes.
So society, please note. Um, but I need to ask you though, because to remove your womb, right, is a big mental decision. And I
Yes.
want to know, for you, how did you prepare to make that decision? Now, yes, I know it would have been based on your medical history, etc. This would have been your very absolute last resort. But in terms of mentally, how did you
Yes.
prepare to
Results.
make that
Yes.
decision? Um, did you go to counseling? Was there therapy? What were the steps taken before going through the procedure?
Okay, that's a good question. Before I got to that decision, I had gotten to a point where I had actually called my doctor one day, and because I had been bleeding nonstop, no matter what we did, I tried. As I told you last week, I spent thousands of dollars trying to stop this bleeding, and I got to the point where I called my doctor one day and said to her, "If I see blood one more day, I feel as if I am going to lose my mind. I cannot live like this." This is not a way to live. It is not. And that was when we had a meeting. She sat me down. She's like, "Well, we've always had it as a last resort that if things don't change or symptoms don't improve, and with all the surgeries and all the medication, nothing helps. That is going to be last resort." And she sat me down a day and she's like, "I don't want to do this. I don't want to have this conversation with you, but we have to have it because you are only going to get sicker and sicker if we don't do something." Because if it was just one or two conditions, we could have managed. But because I had all four, the combination of all four together was just detrimental to my health. So having a doctor that could sit you down and talk you through the process is so important. So we talked about how it would affect me as somebody who's going into menopause younger, because your symptoms tend to be more intense the younger you go into menopause. So she sat me down, we talked about menopause, we talked about the possibilities of what all could happen during the surgery. We talked about how to prepare my body for going into menopause. I talked with my mom because she's a lady in menopause. Um, and I just spent a lot of time crying out to God, spending a lot of time talking to my friends and journaling because I like to write. And then after surgery, I have a therapist. As a therapist myself, I preach therapy, so I have to practice what I preach. And so having a therapist has been wonderful. She has helped me to process like all that I have been through from the age of 11. Having doctors not believe me when I was younger. Because another thing that came up for me was a lot of anger that if doctors had done something for me when I was younger, it would not have gotten to this level where I needed such drastic surgery. So I had to process that anger. I had to process how I felt as a woman. And with endo comes endo belly, where you have this bloating of your stomach. And I've put on even more weight since menopause. And people would make comments like, when are you gonna give your parents a grandbaby?
Ah.
Now your belly look big. I've learned how to answer them. So if you make those comments to me, you're gonna get an answer.
Good girl.
What's the answer?
Good girl.
I can't tell you on the radio, Ari. I can't tell you. So I've learned how
Jesus
to
approve?
answer people because there's so much insensitive comments.
Oh,
And
trust
you
me, I
do
know.
not know what somebody is going through. Just keep quiet. If you see something, just keep your mouth shut. If you don't
Trust me,
know.
I know.
And
It's culture and
so
tradition.
processing all of those things in therapy has been, I think, the best gift I've given myself.
Okay.
Personal therapy, as well as I have a very, very strong support system. It's small, but it's tight. And if there are days they don't hear from me or they see that something isn't right, like, they will come to my house with snacks. And will just sometimes you don't even need somebody to say something. They'll just come and sit there, sit down on the porch with me, or come inside the house and we'll just talk about something or watch some stupidness, or they'll come get me out of the house.
Good.
So therapy, having a strong support system, again, I cannot thank my mother enough. Listen, if I could be half the woman my mother is, I'd be a great woman.
You
I
probably are.
could not have done this without her. The nights when I was, I couldn't do anything for myself. The days when I needed someone to clean me up, my mom has always been there. And now through the process of menopause, we get to talk about our hot flashes together and, what helps you. And, so I have a good support system. I have a fabulous mother and my sister and therapy and Jesus. Jesus and I are good now.
I have one
Yes, Ari.
one question before we wrap up, just to piggyback off Relisa's question. How long did it take you to come to terms with the fact that you would not be able to reproduce? Because I feel like persons who can relate to that, I feel like that is a barrier that they will face, coming to terms with the fact. And how long would it take for them to really accept what is happening?
It, for me personally, it did not take long because I don't know if God was preparing me, but I've never had the urge to have biological children. I used to always tell my mother I'm going to adopt a child because I think that there are so many children who need loving, caring, safe homes. And so the first time when I was told that I may not be able to have biological children, I was in Taiwan. And I had time to process that then because I knew then that there were issues with my reproductive system. But when you hear definitively that you're gonna have to take out everything, then that was another shock to the system. So it took a few months, so almost a whole year, for me to really feel like, okay, this is not going to happen and I am okay. I am going to be okay. Having a baby does not define who I am as a woman. I am more than my baby making capabilities. I bring a lot of other things to the table. And so just centering myself in who I am as a woman has helped me to, it's not get over, but to accept the reality.
All right. So we have like another 8 minutes, Ari. 8 minutes?
8 minutes?
All right, hold on. We do it fast, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So I just wanted to for you, right? Maybe in the wrapping up was 5 minutes, Ari. 5
Yeah,
minutes.
we have roughly
Okay,
5
we have
minutes.
5 minutes, right? Given that you've gone through this process, this entire procedure from at least the age of 11 to now, What advice would you give to girls, young girls, and women at this stage?
Okay. My main advice, know your body. Know what you are experiencing. Keep a journal, keep a record. There are apps on phones now that you can track your period, track your symptoms. How long is your period? Is it heavy? Is it light? Does it come every month? Track your pain symptoms, track your mood symptoms, track other symptoms that you may not think may be related. Track everything. So track your bowel movements, track your urine, track if you have problems breathing, track your migraines, track everything. So know your body. That's number one. Number two, if the doctor that you're seeing is not taking you seriously and not doing anything to help you, find a different doctor. Do not stick with a doctor who is not helping you. There are doctors out there who know what they're doing and who will be able to help you. So get a second opinion, a third opinion, a 10th opinion if you have to, but keep going until you find a doctor who is willing to help you. Number three, have a support system. You cannot do this alone. You're going to need people who are there to hold your hand, rub your back. They may not know what you're experiencing, but who they're there to support you and to love you through the process, and who can be a sounding board for you when you're making decisions. And sometimes you might need somebody to go with you to the doctor because you might be afraid, you might be scared. So have a strong support system. And number four, don't give up. It is a hard journey. It is a long journey, but do not give up. I call my nonprofit She is Lotus because I love the lotus flower. Ari, I don't know if you ever went to Asia University's compound in
Where is
Taichung.
that?
In Taichung, but they have a lotus pond. That's the school I went to.
There's one in Taipei. I went to one in Taipei.
Right. And the first time I saw this pond, it was muddy. And I kept asking myself, why would you have this big mud pond in the middle of a beautiful compound like that? And then one of the students said, just wait. Just wait. And then I started to see leaves growing, and then buses of people started coming to the school with cameras to take pictures. I went, what are people looking for? The lotus flower. It grows out of mud. And for me, She is Lotus she is strong. She is thriving in spite of the mud of her circumstances. So no matter how muddy, how dirty your circumstances are, you can thrive in your own way. So do not give up. You are just like that lotus flower. You're going to bloom and you're going to thrive regardless of what you're going through.
All right. And in case anyone wants to contact you for advice or to speak more about the topic, how can they reach you?
You can find me on Instagram at she.is.lotus. Same name on Facebook, she.is.lotus. And my personal Instagram page is simply_Odelia. Simply_Odelia.
All right. Anything you'd like to release before we?
No, well, I just want to thank you for sharing your story. The interesting thing is that I found that men were particularly interested in hearing this story as well. So while it is a conversation about women's health, there are men in our lives who need to know exactly what's happening as well. And as I kind of want to add as well employers, because it does also affect a woman in the workforce.
You need to know what's happening with your employees, with your children, with your siblings, with your partners. So it's important for us as men to be informed of these things, so we don't go out and ask stupid questions like, "Oh, you're having a hot flash, or you're past too young."
And to be empathetic to each other. You may not understand the experience, but it's no excuse for you not to be empathetic to somebody.
Yes. But again, thanks for this very informative interview. It was great having you on both occasions. And hope to have you again. I'm pretty sure you have a wealth of knowledge of different things relating to not just women's health, but health in general that you would like to share with our listeners.
All right. Thanks again, Odelia.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.